Thank you all for coming. Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining me, whether here in the sanctuary or online. Most of you probably already know I'm raising money for my upcoming attendance at Berlin Opera Academy this summer. And because of this, I have decided to begin the program with a set of German Lieder. The first piece is very special to me because I find its message very comforting. In Der Tod und das Mädchen, a young girl dies tragically, and in the first half of the song, she pleads with death to let her go. But in the second half, death itself is personified as a character, and he comforts the young girl and explains that he is not wild, but gentle, and rather than harming her, he will hold her gently in his arms. My next two songs are by Richard Strauss. The first, Ich trage meine Minne, is a kind of jaded love song. The speaker feels that the world is corrupt and sinful, but that their beloved is a beacon of angelic purity whose goodness can overcome that world. The second piece, Ruhe meine Seele, is about a person's longing for peace and rest in a time of instability. The poet uses imagery of the natural world liberally, comparing his turbulent inner life to a storm at sea, and comparing the peace of mind he is seeking to a tranquil forest. Ich trage meine Minne vorwonne, stumm im Herzen und im Sinne mit mir herum. Ja, dass ich dich gefunden, du liebes Kind, das freut mich alle Tage, die mir beschieden sind. Und ob auch der Himmel trübe, kohlschwarz die Nacht, erleuchtet meine Liebe, Gott sonnige Pracht. Und liegt auch die Welt in Sünden, so tut mir's weh. Die Orgel muss sie blenden, Next, I'm going to do two pieces by Brahms, both from his Opus 47, Fünflieder. In Botschaft, a lover who is apart from his beloved dreams of asking the breeze to visit her and deliver a message. Mädchenlied sets the scene in a spinning room where young girls sing and spin to make money for their dowries while the village boys keep them company. And the narrator of the song is frustrated and distraught because she sees the other girls and boys pairing off, but no one is asking after her yet. And she is convinced that she will never be loved by anyone and wonders why she bothers spinning at all.
Hier
So next, we're going to sing Beside Still Waters. And I sang this one at church last week as like a sneak preview. But the verses of this piece speak of heavy burdens, weariness, grief, and a broken spirit, but then lead to a comforting refrain taken from Psalm 23. And I discovered the song by a relatively unknown composer because Susan brought it to me. So you can thank her.
Bent 'neath thy rod,
So the next set is a set of arias. And the first one, Lyubasha's song, is from a Russian opera called The Tsar's Bride, which is based on one of the marriages of Ivan the Terrible. And Lyubasha is a village girl who gets kidnapped by the secret police and becomes the mistress of one of them, Gryaznoy. And then she discovers that he is growing tired of her and has his eye on somebody else. So she goes to shockingly extreme lengths to prevent this from happening. And in this aria, she has been asked to sing to entertain Gryaznoy's friends. And she sings a folk song about the misery of a girl who must marry a man she does not love. So next is an aria from Menotti's opera, The Hero. It is one of his lesser-known works, and it wasn't received especially well at the time it premiered, and it isn't performed regularly anymore today. But I think this aria is a real gem. And this character's name is Mildred, and her husband has been asleep for 10 years. And so this has brought her and her town a minor level of celebrity, as well as lots of gifts and attention. And all of that has definitely gone to her head. So, as seen in this aria. And then later in the opera, when her husband reawakens, just before breaking the world record for time asleep, she and the other townspeople scramble to hide the fact that he is awoken by any possible means. Look at all those things, look at all those things, and all for free, for pretty, pretty me. How marvelous, how simply, simply marvelous. Open, open, I want to see. Look at this necklace, look at this ring. Oh, so much more expensive than anything I own. And joy, joy, I'm so excited, so very, very happy. But why do you look so sad? Feeling a little jealous, perhaps? It is not unnatural for a poor girl like you to feel jealous of a lucky woman like me. For most women, life is nothing but endless boredom next to dumb, and only a few of us can capture a man like mine and lead a life of bliss with all the elite and money people at one's feet. But one must be pretty, have plenty of flair and savoir-faire, know how to be reckless, know how to be coy. Life is then a never-ending joy. Some are born to be looked at, and the rest just to stare on, while most women are nervous, worried, frantic. I am young, alluring, and romantic. I can fire, inspire. I was not meant to marry Tom, Dick, and Harry, because I'm pretty. I have good style and a good smile. None cannot resist me when asked to assist me. How can women help it but detest me? I was born to be a star, to be envied, to be adored. But it is getting late, and I must try my clothes on. Someone might call to say hello. I will slay them all. All right. The last aria in this set is from Hansel and Gretel. This is the Gingerbread Witch, which is the role study I'm going to be working on at BOA. And this is my favorite part of her role. I love the witch because she's a little bit scary, but she's really more fun, spooky, like Halloween. And in this aria, she commands her broom. She talks about all the fun witchy things she gets up to and delights in warping the laws of nature to suit her fancy. Mein Wesen gar überhaupt nicht vor. So geh ich morgen durch den Tag, kreuz und quer und solchen her. This next aria is from Berlioz's setting of Goethe's Faust. But the text of this specific aria actually comes from a different poem of Goethe's called Der König in Thule, about a king from the mythical northern island of Thule who was faithful to his beloved until his death. And our heroine Marguerite sings this before meeting Faust, showing that she dreams of a pure and faithful lifelong love. Les Roses d'Ispahan is loosely based on the old Persian love story of Layla and Majnun. And there are many different versions because it's so ancient, but in all of them, the lovers were forced to part and Majnun was driven to madness by his obsessive love. Interestingly, this is the same Layla mentioned in the Eric Clapton song. Just a fun fact. And this poet compares the natural world in various parts of Iraq to everything that he finds beautiful about Layla, and he clearly feels that nothing can compare to her. Very pleased to invite Nick and DeAndre to join me for this next song. This song is from the 2020 game Hades, which is about Hades' son, Zagreus, fighting his way up through the underworld to reach the surface. And two of the characters he meets in his travels are Orpheus and Eurydice, who you might have heard of before. And in the afterlife, they remain separated still because of the terms of their deal with Hades. So when you first meet them, Eurydice sings this song alone in her chamber. And if the player is determined enough, it is possible to find a way to reunite them and hear them sing the song together as a duet. This song reflects on the nature of the afterlife and moving on.
To all the earth remains
So the next song, Never, is from On the 20th Century, a goofy musical set on a train in the 1920s. And this character, Lily, is a temperamental and wildly successful movie star, though she came from quite humble beginnings. And she had this kind of toxic relationship with this egomaniacal producer who kind of created her and brought her to fame. But she kind of realized after a while that she felt that this relationship was exploitative and broke it off and went off and did her own thing. Meanwhile, Oscar, this guy, is on the verge of financial ruin and is about to lose his theater. So he sent his lackeys to beg her to return for another production to kind of save him. And she really relishes and delights in this rejection. Let me see, when will I be available? When will I be free? March, September, June, November, 1934, 35, 36, never, that is the word I choose, never, that is the word I use. Tell him you really tried, tell him that really I'd rather die. Never is much too quick, never, he makes me much too sick. Let him save his own hateful hide, let him know he's so hateful, I'd rather die. Never, that is the word I seek, never, that is the word I shriek. Never! Tell him you heard it here, tell him you heard it here, tell him if he comes through that door, I will trample him through the floor. Tell him I'll mangle him, tell him I'll strangle him. You tell him, and I tell him, I swear, I promise him. Go back with him. Here's my reply. Before I go into our last song, I'd like to just take a moment to talk about Berlin Opera Academy a little bit. As you may have seen on the projectors, for this year only, because of COVID reasons, BOA is going to be relocated to the village of Kandersteg in the Swiss Alps, which is very exciting. The content of the program will remain exactly the same. I'm going to be among world-class singers, teachers, directors, conductors, accompanists, and coaches. And I feel I will also learn a lot from my fellow participants, who will range in age from undergraduate students to 36, I believe. I will be in German classes, movement classes, roundtables and workshops, lessons and coachings, master classes, auditions with German agents, and multiple concerts, as well as performing one staged role and also participating in a role study. I'm also going to greatly value being able to experience life in a part of the world that is new to me and to learn everything I can from that, as well as practicing my German. So it's probably the most exciting opportunity of my life so far. So I would like to thank you all once again for all of your support and for being here, and especially to those who have donated, as well as everyone who helped me pull this recital together. So my last piece is from Portal 2, and I'm going to invite the JPC choir to sing with me. I'm so delighted. And so this one requires a little more background, and there's spoilers in case you guys ever plan on playing Portal. But in the first game, our protagonist, Chell, finds herself alone in a mysterious research facility, and her only company is the voice of an AI named GLaDOS, like Siri or Alexa, basically, who directs her to complete various tests. But as time goes on, it becomes clear that GLaDOS, the AI, is actually trying very hard to kill her. And so you have to have courage and ingenuity in order to defeat the AI and escape the facility. But in the second game, Chell's escape attempt has been thwarted, and GLaDOS revives, eager to take revenge via more murderous tests. But a new threat emerges, forcing the player and the AI to work together, and perhaps causing the AI to remember some of her former humanity. And then at the end of the game, once they've defeated their mutual enemy, the AI, GLaDOS, finally releases Chell to freedom after all this time, but first serenades her with this song, sung by the turrets, which normally shoot Chell on sight. It's a very meaningful moment, and I have always thought that there are a few different ways this story can be kind of interpreted that really resonate deeply with me, of this theme of clawing up through so many levels to find the surface. And you may also notice that there's a pun in this song. The word ciel sounds the same as the Italian word ciel, which means sky or heaven. I really hope you have enjoyed our music this afternoon. I would like to invite you to join us at a small reception just outside following the program. And thank you once again for coming today. Thank you again. I'll see you at the reception.